This here is a peach tree. Now this one here is on the north side of my workshop. And so this time of year you can see it's maybe got a little sun up here at the top, but it doesn't get it all the way down. But so they don't do quite as well as I think they could because of location. Of course, these were here, this area, they've been here for quite a while. And as you can see down here, and I need to get in here and cut these off closer, but these were suckers, but they didn't come out from above the graft, they came out from below the graft. And a lot of people say, well, you can't just take and propagate a cutting from a tree because you need a rootstock that's it has certain characteristics. Maybe it's got some resistance to nematodes or different types of disease and stuff. And so what I'm doing is I've taken these suckers off, and we're going to go in here to the workshop and I'll show you what's going on. Okay, I'm in here. I have my little container, and what I've done is I've taken these. Now I didn't save any real big large ones. These are normally a little harder to root, but I've taken a nice selection of other pieces that I feel like will be really good. You want to cut them close to the bottom, just below where there's a leaf bud, where it looks like a leaf is going to bud out. That way it's more likely to take it and root out from there. Now I'm not going to do too much to these. I'll probably I'm going to score some just a little bit here so that I can make a little mark in the outside layer of the bark. That way it might give it a better chance of making roots. Not to say that it will, because it should put out fine roots from the bottom, but on a few of them I'm going to do that, and on a few I'm going to scrape the edge of it. And I'm going to try to do this. I have 3 dozen here, so I'm going to do a dozen of them each way. And first, what I'm going to do is I shake the water off of this, but I'm just going to score this down here close to the bottom, just a few marks. And I'm going to put this rooting hormone on here. Now, preferably most of it just on the bottom. And I'm going to let it set. That way it'll give it a little bit of time for the liquid maybe to attach it better. But I'm going to do that first for a dozen, and I'm going to take various sizes so we can see in this setup which one is going to make roots the quickest, because I want to see whether a certain size is better for making roots, or if it's a certain way that we address the bottom of it for making roots. But I'll have to label each one of these too, so I'll know which one is which. But anyway, when you have a sucker, and like I say, we're doing plums, the whole thing is plum trees, but a plum will graft to a peach tree. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to grow these. I don't know how many of them will do good, how quick they'll put roots out or whatever, but we're going to try to grow these. We know they're not going to be a variety true to what that is. It's going to be a variety to the root stock. And we're going to try too an experiment where we when we plant the plums, because we have quite a few plum propagations there, so, and I'm sure we'll have more survive than what we'll have rootstock for. But we're going to try and see how the plums perform that have been grafted on a rootstock versus those that don't. That way, if someone tells you, yes, you got to have a good rootstock, and it is important for certain things, I'm going to say that, but if it's grown in your area and it's put in the ground, how well it'll survive as far as against disease. You know, the only way we're going to really know is to try it. So I'm going to finish planting these. Part of these, like I say, I'm going to do just like that. Some, all I'm going to do is I'm going to shave a place off so that we're definitely through the cambium layer to the scion wood. And I'm just going to do this on two sides, just like maybe if you was to do a graft, except you cut it more angle. And I'm going to do them the same way. I'm just going to put a little bit of rooting hormone on there. And then the last bunch that I do, as far as I'm not going to do anything to it, I'm just going to put some rooting hormone on it, and then we're going to plant it. And I'm going to try to get some of various sizes, like say in each one of these control groups. So let me get this done. I want to make a note too. Now, of course, I've just freshly cut these, so, and it's best if you had cut these a few days before something, make a nice clean cut so it hadn't tried to heal over or something on the end, so it's not dry or dying. You want good healthy material. But whenever you plant these and you make your cutting, it's best to try to get your cutting where you have a couple of bud areas where your leaves would normally come out, where you can put these below the ground, because these are the areas where the undefined cells are normally located, so it can make a leaf or it can make a root. So this is where it's going to root out from. So if you just have one, you're going to get roots in just that one area. But if you're going to have two of them, then your chances are better for this to put out a good healthy root system. And plus, normally if you're going to root this, you normally try to find some wood. You want it, if you're rooting this time of year in the winter, you want to find some hardwood. You don't want it to be real old hardwood. You know, it's last year's growth where it's good and hard. Now I have some that's actually green from last year's growth, and I'm going to try it just for the fact to see how well it does compared to what's normally suggested. And normally they say pencil size, you know, to have a pencil size somewhere in there. Now it can be a little bit bigger, but if you get too small on your hardwood and it's not formed good, if it's got a lot of white in the middle, where it's not where it's really young wood, your chance of success are probably going to be a little bit lower. Okay, I got them all planted. I got them all labeled, and now they're ready. I'm just going to set these out in the greenhouse. Now, if you don't have a greenhouse, don't worry about it. You can take one of your plastic storage tubs. You can moisten this. In fact, if you put like some shredded bark in the bottom, not anything colored, we want organic, but some kind of shredded bark in the bottom of the tub, and then you can put water in there. If it's a clear tub, you can kind of see through it, put a lid on it. And you shouldn't have to water it at all through this process. It'll keep it for a long time. But if you see to where if you have a little bit of water in the bottom in that bark, and it should wick it up into these or kind of rain it back onto these, that'll keep your tops moist. Now in my greenhouse, especially this time of year whenever it's closed up a lot, because of winter, the humidity is up 95%. So it's going to keep this moist, and then occasionally, and especially if I open up the sides and ventilate some, and if it appears to start drying out a little bit, I'll add some more water. Now I have a tray up under here now that doesn't have holes, but this is strictly for transport. What I'm going to do is water these in while I'm in the workshop here, and then once I carry them out, I'll just allow the water to drain through, so it only keeps certain amounts. You don't want to keep your cuttings saturated, because then you're going to end up encouraging rot, and we definitely want as many of these to survive, so we don't want it to rot. Now my mixture that I'm using is 50-50 mix of peat moss and some wood bark compost, You could use just peat moss and perlite. That would be a good one, because you want it to drain well, but you want it to hold some moisture, but you don't want it to be saturated. And if you're not careful, if you're using compost in your mix, it's going to tend to get saturated, so you want to kind of watch that. A lot of people just root these in a shredded bark type thing, maybe sawdust or something like that, to where it's say inorganic. You know, you could just do straight perlite, and that would work too. But you need to have something there to hold your moisture, just enough to keep it moist but not wet. If you want to be updated on the progress of these propagations, well, of course, subscribe, hit the bell button, and if you like it, give it a big thumbs up and share this video. It really helps my channel. Happy gardening.